Hello everybody, today I'm going to be answering a question. How did the policy of redlining discriminate against Black Americans and set up for a long-lasting impact within homeownership today? So here's an example of what redlining might have looked like. These different colors resembled the different risk factors in the neighborhoods. So these red line neighborhoods were often denied access to mortgages and loans because of their population of Black Americans, while the white and low-risk neighborhoods would often be labeled in green. A document posted in 2022 by the White House talks about the racial gap we are still seeing in the United States today. This talks about how Black Americans are still facing inequality in access to education, housing, and employment. This gap that redlining put in place shows the lasting effects that Black Americans still face today. With kids' access to education affects the childhood environment, along with unemployment in adulthood and accumulation of wealth. The process of redlining is showing the inequalities that Black people are still facing today in our country, within access to quality education as children, affecting unemployment as adulthood, and even accumulation of wealth over a lifespan. It might sound like this gap between neighborhoods and access doesn't matter much, but it's affecting our children's education, with schools funding determine a lot on taxes. So in wealthier areas, higher property values typically will receive more funding because of tax and property values being higher, meaning they'll tax these people higher and give these schools higher funding. Meaning the previously redlined neighborhoods have lower funded schools and underpaid teachers, meaning the education is overall just not going to be our best. There is a persistence in differential treatment on all aspects, such as housing, employment, and mortgages or business loans. This is seen even when the only changing factor is race. Although the process of redlining has been illegal for over 50 years now, it has left these communities facing air pollution, health disorders, and less overall access to economic growth. Studies have also shown that these previously degraded neighborhoods lived in twice the proximity to gas and oil wells. Living in close proximity to these oil and gas wells might not sound prominent, but it leads to further impairment of the lung, cardiovascular disease, anxiety, and depression. With 60% of these neighborhoods remaining predominantly non-white, it's giving people of color an unfortunately higher risk to air pollution. To this day, these neighborhoods that were previously labeled as high risk still have high poverty and low birth rates, further leading more to how the process of redlining still affects us today. A memoir written by Linda Gartz is a different perspective of redlining. She grew up as a white young girl in a redlining neighborhood. She saw the struggles of Black Americans trying to move into these neighborhoods. With any Black families being accepted and moving into these neighborhoods, the price points of the housing would plummet, making it very difficult for white family members to sell their homes. This forced and forged a huge division in between these white Americans and Black families, and anyone forging change would furthermore be pushed to the side because of the effects that it would have on white families. She talked about how these neighborhoods had high minority rates and low income rates, further leading to a division between these white neighborhoods and Black neighborhoods and the high and low risk. Another first-hand account of redlining is written by Denzel Tung. An author tells the story of his grandparents' struggle to buy a home, which shows the effects and experiences that they firsthand faced of redlining. His grandpa, a veteran who served for years, was turned away and denied the ability to accumulate wealth and prosperity. Here's a quote from his book. "I share this part of my grandparents' story to illustrate the real and lasting impacts of institutional racism. The same policy that cultivated wealth for white people in the United States prohibited the accumulation of wealth for Black people." He tells a story for his grandpa to show the strong, lasting effects of redlining and the institutional racism that we are still facing today, even for our veterans who fight for this country. Okay, let's spin back to the question. Here's a reminder if any of you guys forgot. So, it was not just about the maps that they used to define redlining with. It was a tool that they used to discriminate against Black families and exclude them from economic opportunity. We're seeing this deeply in patterns of home ownership, wealth inequality, and urban development today. I hope that everyone could have gained at least a little bit from this video. Thank you everyone for watching and have a nice night.